everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Civil War Generals 2, Grant Lee Sherman or something like that. We are returning to the Battle of Bull Run. We're in the midst of this battle. We left off after about 45 minutes of play just the other day. And I was planning on playing a couple of different things, but honestly, I just didn't really feel like playing anything else last night, and I kind of delved back into this for a little bit. So that's why we're returning to this. The Civil War Generals 2 schedule will probably mostly just be every Thursday once a week, but in this case, you get an extra bonus episode. It is turn 24 of the Battle of Bull Run. I believe we're just at the start of the second day's fight, and the Union has been sort of driven back and bloodied, but we've also pulled our troops back as well, and that's kind of the situation at the moment as we are jumping back into this. I am going to try and surround this brigade here, Davies' brigade up here in the north, and for the other troops, I think I'm mostly just going to kind of see how things play out. I'm going to go ahead and use some artillery against Richardson's brigade here to try and make sure that they can't really do too much damage against us. And then we're going to go ahead and kind of continue to hammer the various other troops around us. We'll also actually focus on these guys since they are in column formation, so we can do more damage to them. Richardson here because he's one hex away, so you get a little bit of a range bonus. And I think we'll just kind of continue on hitting him over here. So my goal is going to be to destroy as much of the Union Army as possible. I think we've probably already won the battle in a sort of a strict sense, in the sense that I just don't think the Federals have enough strength left to seriously resist us. But with that being said, we got to make sure that that is indeed the case. So resting a few more troops here at the beginning of this day, and then we're going to see if we can kind of cut into the Union lines and make a few enemy units get surrounded and destroyed, and hopefully win a decisive victory there. We'll go ahead and attack Franklin's brigade here, and then we're going to go ahead and use Radford to hopefully drive his... Yep, we did. We drove his brigade back with cavalry, a charge there, and then we'll pull our own horsemen back a little bit. So that should remove Franklin as a serious threat at the moment. Although, interestingly enough, none of these guys are probably strong enough to hurt us too bad. So let's see if we can... Well, that's not great. No, sir. We'll just attack without a charge. Drive them back a little bit more, take all the rest of their ammunition, basically rout them, and then we'll leave those troops there, and maybe Porter will allow us to get around and surround him in the next turn or two. But we'll see. The AI seems to be pretty good about not just sitting there and getting completely outmaneuvered. With that being said, I think that's going to do it for this turn. I do want to give some troops a little bit further of a rest, and we'll see what the AI does as they kind of continue to adjust and move troops around. Okay, some artillery duels ongoing. There are a couple of fresh Union brigades also moving to the south that we need to kind of keep an eye on. Davis is attacking in the north. Actually, wow, we had a pretty good result there. Meanwhile, there are Federal cavalry units here in the south. Looks like Palmer's brigade. So we're going to go ahead and mount our own headquarters units up and move them forward a little bit. Shit, Montgomery's brigade. That's strong as hell. What can we do here? I can move B's brigade here. They can still attack. We can move LZ here. He can still attack. I think what we'll do here is we're going to have Bonham charge Howard to try and drive him. Ooh, that's going to take a lot of fucking morale. We won't have him charge. We're going to go ahead and bombard these guys with artillery. We'll get their morale down. Make sure to get it really down. And then I'm hoping that we can just drive him back with a regular attack. We did. Okay, awesome. So we drove his brigade back with heavy loss, Howard's brigade, and now we have Porter's brigade or we can, in a moment here, have Porter's brigade surrounded. We do, but we have to finish them off this turn, because Montgomery's going to wreck Radford's cavalry brigade. So we got to make sure to finish Porter off here this turn. Go ahead and hit him with artillery. All right, so that should drop his morale low enough that a charge from Jackson should finish him off. And, oh, no! Jackson is wounded! Yeah, send for his replacement. All right, so we did manage to get the Union Brigade to surrender, but at tremendous cost. General Stonewall Jackson has been wounded by the very few attacking casualties, but one of them happened to be General Jackson, Stonewall Jackson. We're going to pull Radford's cavalry back now, and we'll also pull B back as well. So we were able to finish off that enemy brigade and then also kind of, to some extent, reposition ourselves. Well, that's an interesting proposition here. Yeah. I might be able to get Tompkins' brigade to surrender as well. Let's see if Ewell can drive Richardson's brigade back. He can. So with that attack, we can move Longstreet over here. Or actually, why even do that? Why not move this cavalry here? We'll use Longstreet to break Richardson. And then now we have this brigade. Schneck's brigade surrounded, so we'll have Cook charge him or Cock charge him. And we force them to surrender. Nice! So a second brigade forced to surrender this turn. More massive casualties for the Union as they lose yet another brigade of infantry here. Let's see here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and move Evans out here to the left. I'm hoping that the Federals will pursue, and then we can kind of move troops in on them and surround them next turn or so. All right, so we'll see what they do over there on the left flank. Meanwhile, in the center, we have forced 2 Union brigades to surrender. There are a couple of relatively fresh brigades, Keyes and Burnside. Montgomery's is probably the biggest threat here with 45 firepower. And then we've also got the Iron Brigade. All these formations are in good order and good shape. But we've got some of our own formations that are in good shape as well. We'll pull these guys back, and then I think we'll rest one more turn. We can see here Palmer's brigade of cavalry is kind of coming up in our rear, but I think we can shift our focus in a way that should allow us to deal with him. I'm going to move Jones forward and actually Hampton as well. I think we'll have a little bit more flexibility. If he moves here, then we can slide these guys in behind Davies. And if Davies withdraws, then we can sort of pivot right and look toward Richardson to try and cut off and destroy him. So I think that's what we'll do, and we'll go ahead and end this turn. All right, so artillery bombardment of Longstreet's brigade. Rasmus Keyes attacks Bonham's brigade, but that actually goes poorly for the attackers there. More artillery, this on Ewell. And several other units moving around. Montgomery attacks B and drives him back. Whoa, 700 casualties for B's brigade there. That was a rough go of it. He's way too bloodied to move. I guess the one positive is we can surround Montgomery, I suppose. So I can actually surround Montgomery and attack him twice. We'll probably need to use some artillery, though, to get him brought down to size a bit. So the AI attacked perhaps too aggressively, and we're able to bombard them 3 times. And then we can go ahead and use Jackson, I think, to launch. Do we want to do a bayonet charge? That'll cost a lot of morale.
No, sir.
Let's see. Bonham can attack, and so can Holmes. Let's just do a regular attack for Stonewall against Montgomery's brigade. They'll hold out there. Pretty bloody battle going both ways in that engagement. But Montgomery's morale is now pretty shot. So then we'll have Holmes charge him, because Holmes' brigade's in really good shape, even if its firepower is low. And that forced Montgomery to surrender. So a third Federal brigade forced to surrender by our maneuvering friends here on the Confederate side. 1,800 casualties for the Union, 34 for the Confederates, and another serious blow to the Union cause as this brigade is basically shattered. Or not shattered, but destroyed. Let's charge Ricketts' battery of artillery here with bayonets. How did we not drive them back? That was weird. Can we charge them now? I think they'll drive them back. There we go. Federal guns retreat. Okay, so actually this worked out pretty nicely. The Davies Brigade moved into our trap. Go ahead and move Hampton back here, and we now have Davies surrounded. We'll go ahead and hit him with artillery to soften him up a bit, drop his morale a bit, and then we will begin attacking him. First with Bartow. I guess we'll just charge Bartow. He's got a firepower advantage, and just instantly like that, finishes off another Yankee brigade. 1,300 more casualties, a bunch more supply, a bunch more morale. And there you have it, another victory for us. Can move Jones' brigade to the east. Bring Early up. Bartow. Move our scouts out east. And then we'll leave Evans to sort of rest and recuperate here. Meanwhile, Palmer's brigade of cavalry staying back there. We're going to go ahead and have Harrison and Stewart continue to rest. Let's go ahead and have Bonham charge. No, I'm not going to charge Keyes, but he'll attack Keyes. Doesn't drive him back, but he does inflict some casualties on the Federals. Meanwhile, we're going to have B's brigade, which bore the brunt of Montgomery's attack there, replenish itself a bit. You can see they lost almost half their strength. Longstreet, meanwhile... Do I want to attack the Iron Brigade with him? Probably not at this time. It'd be great if we could get the Iron Brigade to surrender, though, because they've got Springfield 1861s, which would be worth a ton of money. Move our generals forward a little bit. Go ahead and save the game just in the event that it decides it's going to crap out on us again. And then we'll go ahead and end our turn. Okay, some skirmishers here, perhaps a rear guard action, some enemy artillery here. So the Yankees are not... Oh, no! Was that Jones's brigade who was just had its leader wounded? So the Federals are not done fighting yet. The Iron Brigade charges forward and drive Koch's brigade back. Heavy casualties on the defender side. But, again, I think the AI may have bit off a little more than it can chew. I'm hoping anyway. Let's see here. No, it doesn't look like there's any way I'm going to be able to surround the Iron Brigade this turn. So I think what we'll do is we'll just charge these skirmishers to drive them back. And we'll go ahead and dig Koch in here. I don't really want to draw attention to Ewell's brigade there, so I'm going to dig both Ewell and Longstreet in. I'm going to kind of work some of these troops around here. Bonham's in rough shape. Let's move Howard over this way. Oh, shit. We'll attack Howard with Stonewall Brigade, with the Stonewall-less Stonewall Brigade. So we drove Howard back. Okay. We'll rest and recuperate with these guys. Move Elzira up. Burnside Brigade's still in pretty good shape. So I think we'll just kind of slowly move some of these troops around here.
At ease, man. At ease, man.
And then from an artillery perspective, I'm going to I can't even hit them back there. Can I hit anyone? I can hit the Iron Brigade, so we might prevent them from launching another assault there. Use some artillery against them. We'll hit them again here. Hopefully that means... I don't want them to retreat, but I do want them to, if they attack, not be quite so effective. Meanwhile, I'm going to turn our guns here on the cavalry in our rear. With the one battery that can hit there anyway. And then we'll focus one more battery on the Iron Brigade there. So we did quite a bit of damage to the Iron Brigade. So we'll go ahead and rest these guys up. I'll keep Radford on the flank. No, he'd get chewed to pieces probably. But actually, if he wants to advance south, he can do that because that'll just expose any of his troops that move down there to being cut off and surrounded. Okay, I'm going to continue to just save the game as we move turn to turn. Alright, so we can see several Union units are moving around here. The Federals aren't giving up without a fight, though. We can see they're continuing to attack. God damn it, the little mini-map there popped back up and is blocking it. Another leader is wounded by the Union in the Stonewall Brigade. This is cursed. It's the cursed brigade. Leaders just falling left and right. Meanwhile, the Iron Brigade did attack to the west here, but they may have driven themselves into a worse position here. Oh no, the artillery routed our infantry. Never mind. Looked like we might have had the enemy surrounded there, but their artillery just routed our troops. I think I can probably actually still surround them. So it looks like we can still surround the Iron Brigade here. Good result for us. We'll have Longstreet attack. No charge there. Actually, the attackers lost worse. I should have maybe charged them. Now we'll have early attack, and there you go. The Iron Brigade is surrounded. That's a huge victory for us. 3,500 supply value, but also those are Springfield 1861s that we captured. So that's a big blow to the fortunes of the Union. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead and have Holmes move over here. I'm wondering if I can... they can't move that way. Shit. I was hoping I could surround. I was hoping I could surround the goddamn Burnside Brigade, but it doesn't look like I can, so I'll just settle for attacking it and maybe pinning it into place or driving it back, I guess. So there you go. We drove it back a little bit. Meanwhile, the Stonewall Brigade's morale is in a bad way. They've lost 2 commanders now, I think it is. Longstreet seems to be the only, historical commander who's doing reasonably well on a health perspective. We've got several brigades here in really good shape from a fitness perspective. So we might be able to get some more Union units to surrender next turn. Go ahead and see about bombarding these guys. We might be able to rout these brigades and artillery if we can keep hitting them, which we can't. At least shoot back at this cavalry back here in the rear. I don't think we can shoot back there with them, but we can go ahead and hit these boys as well. Heinzelman's force. All right, so we routed the enemy artillery there. Good result for us. Meanwhile, we're going to have our own cavalry turn around here and launch a charge against Palmerston's brigade of Union cavalry. That charge probably didn't go well for us. Actually, the defenders got off worse than we did. So we'll go ahead and charge again. So two Confederate cavalry brigades versus Palmerston's, and we drove them back. Shot Palmerston up pretty good. He does a better weapon. He has hull breech loading weapons. Stewart and Harrison both just have musketoons. Actually, no, Stewart has hull breech as well. So that was a pretty good result for us. Meanwhile, can we try and rally these guys over here? Can we blow the bugle? You might talk them into reforming, General, but it'll take 420 or 52 morale points to do it. Do you wish to try? Yeah. Good job, boys. I mean, we've got plenty of morale points to spare with all of our victories here. Driving the Federals back. They've still got a couple of effective brigades. Wilcox Brigade is in pretty good shape there. Keyes Brigade. But the rest is largely shot up, and we imagine we're going to drive them all the way back to the streets of Centerville and drive them off the map before the end of this battle. Let's go ahead and save again, because I have been having issues with this game, deciding it's just going to crap out on me. So we'll do that. We'll go ahead and move Evans forward, and then we'll go ahead and end the turn. I probably need to reposition my artillery now as well. Hunt's battery of artillery is providing a rear guard all of itself. Oh, shit, there's a large Federal brigade moving forward. 3 Federal artillery batteries just inflicted 300 casualties on us in this one turn. What is this? Bleakers Brigade or Blinkers Brigade? Wilcox. Can we shoot anything? Can we actually hit anything with our artillery? Not really. Indirect fire on Hunt, and he missed. Good job, sir. You can't basically do anything. You can hit Howard. Maybe you can rout him. Nope. Nice. So the artillery drove Palmerson's back. Palmer's brigade back. Stewart's going to charge him, hopefully rout him. Nope, just drive him back. We'll go ahead and have Harrison pursue as well. No rout again, just drove him back, though. So Palmer's brigade there, hanging in there gamely. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Would be great to cause these guys to surrender, I think. Okay, here's what we can do. We can hopefully drive Franklin back. We can. So we drove Franklin back. Now I'm going to go ahead and move Jones in here to drive back Howard. Yes, I will spend a large amount of my army morale to do it, to make sure they drive him back. They did, and they routed Howard's brigade. Shit. So we can move these guys here, here. So it doesn't look like I'll be able to force the artillery to surrender. We'll charge the artillery here. The goal is obviously to just destroy Hunt's battery, make it no longer effective, and we did, or at least we drove it back. And now can move this. Yeah, get the boys moving again. So we lost our second commander there, so we're under our second colonel here. The only guys who can attack Keys are right there. We can at least bombard Keys to drop his morale a little. Alright, so is one attack from the Stonewall Brigade going to be enough? Yes! Alright, so we forced another one of the effective Union brigades to surrender. Another leader was wounded, this time on the attacker side. You gotta be kidding! So Pepper was wounded, but apparently he's still in charge there. Nonetheless, another Union brigade down. Let's go ahead and move early against Hunt. I want to get these guys to rout. And Hunt has been wounded, and the artillery's been driven off. Or killed. We killed Azira. Oh, wow. That's a loss to the Union cause. They lose Hunt, one of their best artillery commanders, early in the war. Meanwhile, we're trying to knock out another Yankee battery here. And we drove them back. So the 300 casualties that were inflicted by 3 batteries last turn, of those 3 batteries, the Federals are down to 1. Alright, so we'll move our scouts into the rear. Meanwhile, this army is rapidly melting away. Our own troops are struggling to effectively pursue, though, because we've, several of our brigades are pretty beat up. Wilcox's brigade's morale is too low. Dixon Miles's Blinkers brigade is perhaps the one effective unit left. The rest of these guys are routed and running for the most part, and then they've got the 1 artillery battery. It is 9:30 in the morning on the second day of the fight. You can see a bunch of Union troops falling back. The whole army basically is now in retreat. The lone battery of effective artillery kind of providing what amounts to a rear guard. I don't think there's any way for me to attack over there. I guess we'll have Jones attack the artillery. Wow, that was a rough engagement there. Enemy guns are dug in. Let's have Longstreet charge him.
No, sir.
No. Alright, now we'll have them charge. Alright, so we drove that final battery of Union artillery back. They will not be engaging in the next turn. And the hope is that we can get up and around these remaining Federal troops here under Blinker. We'll have Ewell attack to hopefully pin him. Again, we lose more men than we hurt. But at least it didn't even really do much to bloody him. Okay. Move these guys. Oh. Our scouts move back to capture one of the victory points in Centerville. Our own artillery is going to mount up and start moving. Okay. Where'd the enemy horsemen go? Oh, they're riding north. Stewart's still in good shape, so we'll charge Palmer's brigade. I don't know why I was saying Palmerson earlier. Finally routed him. Don't have any troops there to finish him off, or to kind of continue scurrying him along the way. Be interesting to see if routed troops can take victory points, though. We'll see. Alright, more Yanks are retreating. A general withdraw and disorder to the north. Go ahead and save again. Alright, so let's do this here. Bartow, drive back Hunter. He did unlimber his guns, so we drove them back and routed them. The Stonewall Brigade surround. Then we'll have Longstreet charge Wilcox and probably finish him off. Yep, that brigade was forced to surrender. Another 1,100 Yankee casualties. Meanwhile, the Stonewall Brigade does not want to attack anyone. They can still maneuver, but they don't want to attack anyone. Okay. We have a couple of brigades that are probably too beat up to actually attack, but they can still march around, such as the Stonewall Brigade. All right, so Burnside, we're going to advance on you. We'll bring our artillery up here. Maybe they can accomplish something. All right, we're not going to charge, but we will attack these routed horsemen, who apparently rode around the victory points and didn't actually accomplish anything. Most of our troops' morale is actually pretty solid because the army morale is so high at 27,000. Generally, the health or the organization, these two here in the left and center of the organizational matrix, is what's in bad shape. And that's just because they've been fighting for so much time. So the rout is on. Federals continue to withdraw to the edge of the map. One unit there attacked. Blinker's brigade attacked and did a wonder against our troops in column formation there. Blinker, that may not have been so wise, though. Doesn't look like I can actually get around him. So we'll just attack. Just drive him back. Alright. So our troops would not attack infantry in line, but they will attack unammoed artillery, and they do rout it. So I guess that's one way to go about success. Alright, we're going to charge McDowell with Elzey's brigade. Nope, they won't charge. They'll just attack. They drive back the general. Look at that general with his good old cigar. Drive McDowell back. He's actually been directly attacked. Alright, so then we'll have Holmes attack here against Burnside. Burnside's pinned up against the corner of the map, and he's forced to surrender. Another Federal brigade down. Cavalry continues the pursuit. I'd probably claim victory at this point, but I wouldn't mind finishing off more of the Yanks. Alright, so we'll do one more turn. Whoa, Franklin actually mustered up the will to attack, and he drove back some of our cavalry. Brave lad. Too bad for him. just got himself surrounded. McDowell can keep running. Franklin is now surrounded, and Longstreet's going to deliver the coup de grace to his brigade as well. Longstreet, you are my hero in this battle. Okay, we'll rout these guys. Okay, Hampton, you're going to move this way. Okay, attack these skirmishers, drive them back. Oh, nice. We drove them back in a direction that is very favorable to us, so now we can hopefully get them to surrender, and we do. So another unit down, drove them into a surrounded position, and we routed McDowell. McDowell is now running with his artillery. Do you want them to move wherever they can? No, not really. Alright, so let's go ahead and end this turn. Battle should just be about over. We're to noon. Should we have Longstreet be the hero again? Capture another brigade? Nah, we'll give Hampton the honor. So the artillery and General McDowell forced to surrender. So the commander of the enemy army forced to surrender. Move these scouts over here, and then we'll have Longstreet attack Richardson's brigade, and Richardson's brigade is forced to surrender. And that's all I really care to do. So I'll go ahead and save as. Save here, and then let's see if we can claim victory. Declare victory. If we break off now, General, the scoundrels will say we turn it. What? Defeated army controls too many objectives. What objectives do they control? What objectives do they control? Give me a break. They don't control anything. Defeated army controls too many objectives. I'm dumbfounded by that statement. This game doesn't seem to allow the defeat mechanic to work. What if we end the turn and then declare victory? We need to whip him so good no one will doubt who carried this day. Yeah, it's pretty obvious to me who carried the day. Let's just see if we can blast through here. I think they only have like one brigade of infantry left. I have no desire to chase them around off the map. Again, one brigade of infantry and they've got some cavalry. Oh no! Dixon Miles, Blinker's brigade showed back up. And the enemy cavalry reformed. That is a suicidal unit? Alright, buddy, if you want to fight, well, we can fight. Even the Stonewall Brigade's almost ready for another fight. Alright, so the enemy cavalry also reformed. Well, let's see what happens here. Alright, so they attacked and drove us back, but that's only going to make them easier to surround. So Bonham will move here, the cavalry will move here, and just like that, tough luck, Blanker. Down you go. The damn Federals showed back up and promptly ran themselves to death. Let's see if we can pin this enemy cavalry unit down here in the north. I wonder if somehow their morale wasn't low enough. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, though. Alright, so now their horsemen are going to try and escape. Of course, they will be successful. I can't run them down with infantry. I guess we can try and slow them up a little bit with our scouts. Move our troops into column formation. Maybe that'll lull them into a false sense of security, and maybe they'll actually charge us. Let's see what happens. Nope, they're just going to keep riding around us. Is there any way for me to slow him down or to pin him in place? Well, actually, I can get them in a situation, it looks like here, where they'll have to attack. Maybe. Maybe not quite. They'll have one avenue they can escape. So we'll see how this one ends. Yep. They're just going to keep riding around me. Get back here, you dastardly Federals. Let's see here. I think we can pin them now. Our troops' morale is not so great. They're basically like, get us the fuck out of here. We don't want to be doing this anymore. All right. So can any of these troops attack? No, they cannot. Well, at least we have them surrounded. Last turn. It's the evening. It's 7 o'clock on the second day of the battle. And, yeah. We're going to have Longstreet charge this cavalry unit and destroy him. No choice but to surrender. More casualties. And I think that does it for the battle. I don't think they have any troops left. Yeah, let's go ahead and save here. And you can see there, I think that's supposed to be Stonewall, maybe not. Confederate decisive victory. A major victory for the Confederacy. If we look at that battle, obviously massively more bloody than the Battle of Bull Run historically was. 3,100 Confederate killed, 6,400 wounded, 3,600 Union killed, 7,300 wounded. So in terms of like actual battlefield deaths and wounding, 3,600 killed to 3,100, 7,300 wounded to 6,400. That doesn't tell how decisive it was, though. We have 25,743 Union troops surrendered. So basically the entire Union army was destroyed. We captured 55,787 supply. They captured 6,400. They got 172,000 worth of weapons. We got 437,753 worth of weapons. Victory points 3,061 to 1,400, and victory points from hexes. So apparently they did hold some victory hexes. I don't know where. But victory points 8,019 to 351. All told, about 36,000 casualties for the Union versus just under 10,000 for the Confederates. Although in the one area that might matter, both sides had one leader killed. The Confederates had 4 wounded, though, so being on the offensive against, in some cases, some well-prepared Union troops apparently did result in some heavy casualties for us. At this point, we have to choose what our next battle is. So at this point in the campaign, you can either choose to go to Kernstown, which I think is the first battle in the 1862 Valley campaign. Yep, this is the only battle that was recorded as lost by Stonewall Jackson. Or we can go to Shiloh Alternate 1, which is... I don't know what the Shiloh Alternate 1 is, but essentially we have to pick whether we want to go down the Shiloh route, which takes us to the west, or stay in the east for the Battle of Kernstown. I think it depends on whether we want to focus on the eastern theater or whether we want to go toward the western theater. You can jump around. There's different points in the campaign where you have these options to choose. But if we choose Kernstown, then I don't think we fight Shiloh, and then I think we'd go into Jackson's Valley campaign and then the Peninsula campaign, and we'd probably skip the 1862 battles in the west, namely being Shiloh, and then maybe we could even skip Stones River. Let me know what you guys want to do, because I saved the game before this point, so we save it just at the exit battle phase, and then that kind of gives us an option of what we want to do. I think with regards to upgrading units and guns, it's more effective in terms of the way the game works if you actually stay in the theater that you're upgrading units for. I don't know if we lose the upgrades if we move from east to west and then back to east. I'm not quite sure. In any event, we'll be back at this phase next time. We can see here that this is our field hospital recovery phase. So I think it said we had 4 wounded officers here. I only see 3. RCW Radford was killed in combat. Stonewall Jackson, his health is down to 84. He's granted furloughs, so I don't know if that means like he's gone for good or if that means he's been released from the hospital. That would really suck if we lost Jackson this early. J.W. Allen is in critical condition. His health is at 22, and it is deteriorating. Meanwhile, in terms of promotions, General Wade Hampton is now a general, promoted to brigadier general. Julian Harrison of Harrison's Cavalry Brigade is promoted to lieutenant colonel. H.G. Latham and G.H. Pendleton both promoted to major. Beckham is promoted to captain. All these guys are artillery guys. F.C. Bartow, Elzy, and Jeb Stewart all promoted from colonel to brigadier general. Engineer Commander Case is now a major. Terry Scouts, he's now a major as well. PG2 Beauregard and Joseph E. Johnson both promoted to major general. In terms of replacements, actually maybe this will tell us what happened to Jackson down here. Colonel Pepper has temporarily assumed command of the Stonewall Brigade due to the hospitalization of Colonel Thomas J. Jackson. Okay. Lieutenant Regular Leader Number 1 has temporarily assumed command of the 2nd Virginia Regiment due to the hospitalization of Colonel J.W. Allen. Colonel R.C.W. Radford of Radford's Cavalry Brigade suffered a mortal wound while courageously leading his troops in battle. His unit is now led by Colonel T.T. Mumford. Colonel T.T. Mumford has been transferred to take command of Radford's Cavalry Brigade, which will now be known as Mumford's Brigade. And Colonel J.W. Allen of the 2nd Virginia Regiment had to be hospitalized due to the severity of his wounds that he suffered in combat. While recovering, the 2nd Virginia Regiment will be temporarily led by Lieutenant Regular Leader Number 1. Okay, so we don't have names for some of these commanders. Brings us back into the unit command phase. Actually, I don't think that Stonewall is furloughed in the sense that he's like totally out of action, because it didn't rename his brigade. His brigade is still Jackson's brigade, I believe. Somewhere in there. He's under Johnson. Yeah, Stonewall's brigade is still known as Stonewall. So, anyway. So we have a fair bit of money we can use to upgrade various units. For example, the Stonewall Brigade, what do they currently have? They're actually using Enfield rifled muskets. We could move them up to Mississippi weapons or M.J. Gardner's, although Enfield might be our best option. Probably better off like focusing on upgrading units like Bartow's Brigade here. They're using farmers' muskets for 100,000. We can upgrade them to Enfields. B's Brigade is also using farmers' muskets for about another 100,000. We can upgrade them to Enfields. LZ's Brigade is also using farmers' muskets for about another 100,000. We can upgrade them to Enfields. So actually, none of this is going to be saved. We're going to go through this at the start of the next battle. But if just to kind of show you here what we can do, we can more than double, almost triple some of these units' firepower by upgrading them to Enfields. We only have 5 Enfield rifled muskets available to us, but nonetheless, we basically just upgraded Johnston's whole army to much better weapons. We can also upgrade Stewart here to Maynard carbines for a very low cost. And then we have some artillery here. We probably want to upgrade some of these guys to better weapons. We can go with Whitworth rifles if we want really long range, but they're not super destructive. Or we can go with Napoleon smoothbores, short range, very destructive weapons, though. I think I prefer the Napoleons for that one unit. And then we'll go with the 3-inch ordnance rifle here for this other unit. So Johnson's command is basically all upgraded as much as we can. Meanwhile, it doesn't look like we can upgrade Bonham's Brigade. They're really big, though. We might have benefited more from having them upgrade to Enfield rifled muskets. What about these other units? These other units are already kind of upgraded, with the exception of Cook's Brigade, which we can upgrade to Enfield rifles, not rifled muskets, or we can go to the 1855 earlier version of the Springfield. Again, that'll pretty heavily upgrade them in terms of quality. So you can see that my weapons purchases are complete, and then it moves to the Battle of Kernstown. So I'm not actually going to fight the Battle of Kernstown. I don't even know who the commander of our troops are. Is it Harmon? Is it Fullerson? I'm not quite sure. But we'll fight this battle in our next video. But let me know if you want to look at... We could do Shiloh. I have fought Shiloh before on the channel. I don't know if I fought Kernstown. I kind of like the idea of going right into the valley. But let me know your thoughts. I know it'd be kind of a big deal to avoid Shiloh, but Shiloh's a big battle. It'll last a long time. It'll be many episodes. Might be fun to do some more of the small engagements in the east and stay a little bit closer to our troops there. With that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts as always. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.